Tricia that is going on. We'll check back in with Joe Bastardi of weatherbell.com. That's coming up later in the program. A lot of polls have come out this week, and I want to run through some of them with you because I think they're all important and they all have a big part to play in where this presidential race now stands. Now, if we start just on a general election front, it's kind of close between Clinton and all the other candidates as we go along throughout the week. If you look at, for example, the Massachusetts primary, you got Donald Trump had a huge week there with 48% of the vote. Republican primary, Donald Trump was winning 22, Carson 19. If you look at New Hampshire primary, Trump was up there 28-11. If you look at some of the national polls, you have, Hillary Clinton has taken a big jump since the last debate. Trump is 28 nationally, Monmouth University poll, and he is followed by Ben Carson at 18. Wall Street Journal, Trump 25, Carson 22. And the other latest poll that came out this week, it was Trump 27, Carson 22. That was the CNN ORC poll. Then you have the ABC Washington Post poll was 32-22 Trump in the national race there. Then we have other polls that have come out, etc. But that was pretty much the week, with the only exception being is that you had two polls this week show in the state of Iowa that Ben Carson is leading. One was the Quinnipiac poll, and the second poll that has come out shows the Des Moines Register, similar, 28-19 Carson over Cruz in the state of Iowa. And here to analyze all of this is John McLaughlin, and he's the CEO of McLaughlin and Associates. He did all of the polling in the Israeli race for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he was one of the few people that actually was dead on accurate and saw the trends moving very quickly in Prime Minister Netanyahu's favor. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Great to be with you again.
As a follow-up to that, it was interesting because the same tactics that Obama employed back in 2008, which is to identify every possible Democratic voter and get him to the polls, apparently they shared that technology and information with Trudeau up in Canada, and it resulted in a liberal victory. So that was the very same machine you were up against in Israel, but it didn't work there.
Right. In Israel, we anticipated it, and the Prime Minister, as you said, the Prime Minister, we were losing the Wednesday before the election, and we went ahead Sunday night, but we took steps actively online. We got criticized for some of his Facebook comments, but...
Now I can say all this. You told me privately that the movement on the ground had been dramatic towards Prime Minister Netanyahu, but you did add these words. That's off the record, Sean, and you can't say it on air.
Right, exactly.
Because you didn't want people to get complacent.
No, because it was able to, because as they realized that he might lose...
And for the record, I do keep my word. I didn't say it. Now, I said it in my own way. I said,
right.
I'm getting a feeling on the ground that things are moving in Netanyahu's direction, but I didn't say the polls were proving that.
Right, because what it was...
Because I have a loyalty to my audience. If I'm getting insider information, which I promise my audience, I give it to them, but I just protect my sources. In that case, it was you.
Yes, and it was... What was happening was they wanted him to be prime minister again, but some of the vote was scattered with some other right of center parties, and when they realized he might lose, they came back for us. And we really, he drew a... What the great thing about Prime Minister Netanyahu is he drew a great, clear contrast on policy between his view of the world and his opponents. And he wasn't going to divide Jerusalem. He wasn't going to deal with the Palestinians. He was going to keep... Security was going to be his top issue. And he wasn't going to cave in on the Iran deal. So the majority of Israelis agreed with him, and they voted him, and he's been doing precisely that. He's in a very difficult position right now with the violence that's going on, but he's definitely the person who's best able to handle his security issues.
Well, he's handling a difficult situation now, but every day is a difficult situation there. And that's the problem, and it doesn't help at all that, of course, we have a president of the United States that has not been supportive of our number one ally, and that has made things extraordinarily difficult. The Wall Street Journal had a report today that I think ought to scare the daylights out of every single American about the guy that we do have as commander-in-chief. Now, I think this has been the only broadcast to mention, right here on this show, way back during the 2008 campaign, that then Obama foreign policy advisor, Brzezinski, actually said the U.S. should be willing to shoot Israeli warplanes out of the sky if they dare attack Iranian nuclear sites. I said this right here on this program.
Right. Totally crazy.
Right. This was Brzezinski, not Obama. So his comments were ignored. In 2011, when Obama's Joint Chiefs Chairman, Admiral Mike Mullen, declined to deny that the U.S. would ever entertain that scenario involving a U.S. attack on Israeli warplanes on their way to attack Iran, again, the story was ignored. Well, today, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that in 2012, that Barack Obama actually was prepared to use U.S. attack aircraft to interdict Israeli warplanes if Israel attempted to take out Iranian nuclear sites. In other words, our president then, and I've got to assume still now, is prepared to use American military force against our ally, Israel, if that's what it takes to protect his beloved insane deal with Iran. What do you make of that?
I tell you, right now, there's a poll out in Israel today where the average Israeli is asked, do you think John Kerry's visit and tried diplomacy will calm the current violence? And the Israelis say 77% no, only 4% say yes. They really have no faith in
why should they?
In their ability right now.
I'm surprised 4% do. 4% to me seems high.
But actually, what's scary is because the president's so out of step with American public opinion. There was a Rasmussen poll this week that said, in the recent escalation of violence in Jerusalem, are you more supportive of Israel or the Palestinians? And 60% said they support the Israelis. Only 10% said the Palestinians. And it was across the board, every political party, or Republicans, Democrats, Independents. So Americans are very supportive of Israel. And what's really going on, and you mentioned this with the American numbers, the person in all these polls that isn't by name in the polls is President Obama.
All right, I got all of that, but you're ignoring this main story